Hi there, it's Simone. I'm so glad you are joining me today for an ink swatching video. Before I tell you all about the inks, I would like to invite you to sign up to the Ink Swap Fall 2022. There is a link in the description box. There's also some info on my community tab about it. Signups are still open until September 16th. 2022. So if you watched that before it and you're interested, please check it out. I have gotten some actual ink bottles at the San Francisco Pen Show, as well as this ink sample. And then I ordered an ink bottle online. Yep, I did. And I wanted to swatch those in my swatch book and on all the different places that I swatch my samples. The first ink that I'm swatching is Monteverde Horizon Blue. I received that sample from Flax Pen to Paper. They gave that out to visitors at the San Francisco Pen Show. And so I decided, well, I'm gonna try and see what it looks like. It is a very bright blue. I will talk about the inks in more detail and compared them to swatches that I have already made later on in the video. The second ink that I'm swatching is Diamine Writer's Blood. This is an ink made with and for the Reddit fountain pen community. And I have heard about this and purchased the ink bottle because it is said to be a very wet ink. And knowing that the ink is wet is really helpful when you're testing some pens where you might have trouble with the ink flow. Finding out is it the ink or the paper, not the paper, the pen is really helpful when you actually know that the ink is wet and will flow in almost any pen you put it in. The third ink I am swatching is Vinta Purple Sea Star Tabuan. That was the 2022 San Francisco Pen Show ink. And then the last one is the Pannonia Ink Dependence Collaboration Ink Cheerio Waterbus. You will see those coming up in a minute. I just wanted to tell you how I'm swatching my inks. I'm swatching them on 3 different places. The first one is on Tomoe River Paper 52 GSM. That is in that Traveler's Notebook insert. Then I'm swatching those on the Tsubame ink collection cards. They are made out of Fool's paper by Tsubame. And then the coloring cards from the Well-Appointed Desk. I tried using my Kakimori dip nib that I'm using to write and doodle the twigs here to make the swatches, but that didn't work out really well. So I went back to using cotton swabs. And then the rest I'm using the Kakimori dip nib for. The swatch cards from the coloring cards, I really love to compare the inks and find what looks similar and what doesn't. And the Tsubame ink cards, I really enjoy tracking where I have already had the ink in a pen. I'm just making dashes. What is that called when you make dashes for how often you inked the ink in a pen? Oh my gosh, my brain. Yeah, and I also have them in a business card holder, so I can actually look through the samples or the swatches and pick a color that I would like to use in my pens. The Cheerio Waterbus is a very special ink. It is similar to a pigment shimmer ink, but instead of shimmer, it is blue pigment that is included in the ink. And I have to say, I really like that. But I will actually come back on camera while after the ink has dried and compare the inks and samples to different colors that I already have in my stash. So here is a question for you. Which is your favorite ink, and how do you swatch your inks when you swatch them? I'm really curious. I do this because I just enjoy the nerdiness factor. It just brings me joy to do these things. But I'll be back in real time right now. Okay, here's a closer look at these inks that I just swatched. I'll show you some comparisons that I have in my own stash as bottles or swatches, but I wanted to look at the Tomoe River paper one more time. The Monteverde Horizon Blue is definitely a sheening ink. You can see some red sheen around here and in the leaves as well. The Diamine Writer's Blood is doesn't seem to have any sheen. It is a very dark maroon, burgundy red. The Vinta Tab one reminds me of some of the inks. I have them here. The Sailor Ink Studio 123, Sailor Manyo Neko Nayagi, I think is the Neko Yanagi. That's the way it's pronounced. It definitely is a chromo shading ink in the swatch. Not sure it comes out when writing, especially with a finer nib. Broader nibs would probably be working. And then I was not so sure. I'm not really sure. I need to do some more research. Watch Mike's from Ink Dependence's video about this ink one more time. I thought he said that it is very similar to shimmer inks, except that this is a pigment that is down here. However, a shimmer ink, if I shake it or do this, the shimmer mingles with the ink, but this does not. You have to shake it really, really hard. So I have to watch that video again. I will link it in the description box below. But on the Tomoe River paper, you can actually see that there is some blue pigment here. I hope you can see that too. Let me just do the ink swatcher thingy where we show it to you from all different angles. It's not really visible in the writing, but I really love this swatch for sure. Okay, so now that this is almost dry, you can see it here. It's still not fully dried. So then I'll just start with the Writer's Blood. These are the swatches on the swatch cards, coloring cards from the Well-Appointed Desk. I love using this as a reference. So I seem to gravitate towards these maroonish colors. And so this is the Writer's Blood. What I have used and what I swatched before was the Sailor Tintorias Spicy Chipotle, the Sailor Manyo Ume, and the Robert Oster Warm Book Smell. I would say that this is darker, more saturated. It leans more towards purple, I think. There is more of the purple color in there. This is a really dark red, beautiful. These are more brown than this. These two are sheening inks. And I have to say that after a little bit of using different inks, I am more a person who prefers inks that do not sheen. So I'm glad that I bought a bottle of this Writer's Blood instead of any of the other colors. Well, I have a bottle of this, but these are close, but not close enough for it to make having the both bottles for both of those inks redundant, if that makes sense. So I really like having both options as ink bottles. Okay, let's check on the Monteverde Horizon Blue. This is definitely a sheening ink, but not too obvious. The Private Reserve Electric DC Blue is a little bit more, I think this is cooler, warmer. I don't know. I think this has more, See, I'm really bad at deciding whether a color is, this is more muted in my opinion. And then the Diamine Thunderbolt could go with these, but this has more purple, more reds in this than this, for sure. This looks kind of like a phthalo blue if you go with the watercolors. So then it would be a very cold blue. Okay, so next is the Vinta Tabuan Purple Sea Star. It is a chromo shading ink or dual shading, I don't know. Then here is the Manyo Neko Yanagi. I would say that the Manyo Neko Yanagi has more complexity to it than the Purple Sea Star. I think that the Purple Sea Star is a bit more saturated. And then the Sailor Ink Studio that I thought was very close is not close at all. It has more of a gray, blue purple gray base color, and then the teals and purples as a shading, and this is definitely more of a blue purple base. Last, the Cheerio Waterbus. It's still not fully dry, but it's very green. I would almost say this is an emerald color. And then these are the inks that I have. You can see that I seem to be drawn to these colors. Well, these were from the ink vent, so I did not choose those. But I purchased the Stargazing from Robert Oster, which is a shimmer ink. And this leans more towards blue than this for sure. Even though this has blue pigment in it, this is more of a teal. I do have to say that I like this color a lot. I mean, I wouldn't have purchased it. The Lamy Tourmaline is very similar. It has more blue. But in the writing, it's almost not visible. This has more yellow for sure. And then these are Garland and Yuletide. Yuletide is not a shimmer ink. Garland seems to be. This one has very similar base color. However, there's shimmer and sheen, so it looks a lot different in the writing. And then this one, again, leans more towards the blue. It is closer to these. Let me know in the comments below which one of those 4 inks is your favorite. If you have any of those, let me know your experience with them. Which pens do you like them in? All of that jazz. I would love to chat with you in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, you are the reason why I make those videos. I will see you soon. Until then, bye.